Peace and Black Power, everybody. How y'all doing? Um, I wanted to do a quick show today about the repo market. Not going to be up here too long, but I wanted to discuss the repo market. It's a market that a lot of us is unfamiliar with, and I wanted to discuss the repo market. So again, I thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule to be here with me today. Thumb up the video, give me a thumb up, leave a comment, and let's get the family in here. Share the video, share the link, and let the family get in here because we're going to discuss something that is very important and it might make some sense out of what's been going on lately, the last 6-7 months in America. So we need to discuss this repo market, right? And with that being said, I just got a couple questions that I'm going to ask, and hopefully we can get these questions answered throughout this video, right? Because it's very important that we start understanding what's going on in our communities, right? So we need to understand what exactly is going on when it comes to finances. So y'all give me a second. I'm sharing the link, letting the family know that I'm live so they can come on in the building so we can, get this conversation up and running. Right, so, all right, I done that. All right, so how everybody doing? Beautiful day, It's a little rainy down here in Carolina, but it's all right. So we want to jump right in, family. We want to jump right into the repo market. Like, what is the repo market? That's the first thing that we have to tackle. We all heard of repossessions as far as cars. Your cars may get repossessed. But for our financial institutions, what is a repo market, right? What is the function of this market? What is the function of a repo market? What do you do? What's the functionality of a repo market, right? What has happened to the repo market? And also we want to discuss, what should we expect when pertaining to this repo market? Right? I'm live. Okay. So listen. So with this repo market, the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to share my screen, is that the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to define what the repo market is. The first, y'all give me 1 second. I don't know why she brought this in. All right, the first thing with this repo market is, first we need to define what a repo market is, right? So that's the first thing I'm going to do, right? I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to jump right into it and see what is the repo market and why does this matter, right? Now, this article was produced on January 28, 2020, right? So now the repo market is the repurchase agreement or the repo market, right? So, and it's an obscure but important part of the financial system that has drawn increasing attention lately. On average, 2 trillion to 4 billion in repurchase agreements, collateralized short-term loans are traded each day. But how does the market for repurchase agreements actually work, and what's going on with it, right? So this is what we want to talk about. So the first thing is, we want to know what exactly is the repo market, right? So the repo market is a repurchase agreement, right? Short repo is a short-term secured loan. One party sells securities to another and agrees to repurchase those securities later at a higher price, right? So let's say the bank is a party that is selling securities, right? So they sell the securities. Whoever buys the securities, they agree to repurchase these securities back from them later at a higher price, right? The securities serve as collateral. So if somebody needs some money and they don't have that money and they basically getting a loan, you're basically getting a loan, but you're using securities as the reason for the loan. This is your collateral. The securities are your collateral for the loan. Like sometimes when we get loans from the bank, we may get a car loan, right? So you have to give them your car title, right? Your car title is your collateral for the loan. But with a repurchase agreement, right, the securities are your collateral. The securities are the collateral, right? So with your securities, one party buys them, the other one agrees to buy the securities back later at a higher price. That's your collateral, right? It says the difference between the securities initial price and their repurchase price is the interest paid on the loan, known as the repo rate, right? So I want y'all to follow me. I want y'all to follow me and pay attention with where we're going with this, right? So again, a repurchase agreement or a repo loan, right, is a short-term secured loan. It's short, and they use collaterals. The securities is your collateral, and it's basically one party sells securities to another one, and the other one agrees to repurchase these securities later at a higher price, right? And the difference between the securities initial price is the interest paid on the loan, known as the repurchase rate, right? The repo rate, right? So a reverse repurchase agreement, reverse repo, is the mirror of a repo transaction. So a reverse repurchase agreement is the reverse of a just regular repo transaction, right? In a reverse repo, one party purchases securities and agrees to sell them back for a positive return at a later date, often as soon as the next day. Most repos are overnight, though they can be longer. So this chart right here kind of like gives us a good layout of how the repo flows goes, right? So you have a cash investor with assets, money funds, yeah, others, right? And they send that cash to dealers, right? Now the dealers sends that cash to prime service clients, which are hedge funds, others. And in return, you see they get securities. The securities are the collateral. So the securities come from the hedge funds and others back to the dealers behind that big TV, right? And then the securities come from the dealers back to the asset managers, the money funds, and the others, because these securities are going to be, they come back and they get resold, right? So the repo market is important for at least two reasons. It's two reasons why the repo market is very important. Now, I'm not going to read all this. We're going to skim through it, right? The first reason is the repo market allows financial institutions that own lots of securities to borrow cheaply and allows parties with lots of spare cash to earn a small return on that cash without much risk. So basically, the repo market allows banks or financial institutions that have a lot of securities to borrow cash because they don't have spare cash. They don't have cash on hand. So if a bank needs to borrow cash, they will use this repo market to borrow the cash cheaply from different money market accounts, money market mutual funds, right? And they earn a small return on the cash with much risk. There's a lot of risk in this with the banks borrowing this cash. There's a lot of risk because securities, often U.S. Treasury securities, serve as collateral, right? Financial institutions do not want to hold cash because it's expensive. It doesn't pay interest, right? So that's one reason. I mean, you can pull this article up and finish reading it yourself, right? But I'm just giving a quick outline, right? And then it says the second reason why is because The Federal Reserve uses repos and reverse repos to conduct monetary policy. When the Fed buys securities from a seller who agrees to repurchase them, it is interjecting reserves into the financial system. Conversely, when the Fed sells securities with an agreement to repurchase it, it is draining reserves from the system. Since the crisis, because there has been a crisis with this repo market, and this is what we're going to get into, this crisis that has happened with this repo market, right? It has taken on a new importance as a monetary policy tool. So the Federal Reserve makes policies when it comes to our financial systems. But the Federal Reserve is using these repos. They're using the repos to conduct monetary policy. And something has happened in 2019 that a lot of people are unaware of, and we need to discuss what has happened in 2019 as far as the repo market is concerned. So let me stop sharing my screen. So, so we know what a repo market is. We have a good understanding of what a repo market is. And so now what we want to do is, I'm going to share my screen again, and I want to play this quick video. Let me share my screen of someone that is talking about this repo market.
I think the coronavirus is a cover-up for the September 2019 crash of the repo market. He got upset because it got out. It's not supposed to get out. I want to let people know without money, people's spirits drain out of them. So I'll say it again, is I got my best education surfing. Every big wave surfer knows that the biggest waves come in threes. So we just got number 3. It came down in threes too in March. Boom, boom, boom. I'm predicting the next way they can control us is because there's no pensions. Mark my words. CalPERS, California State Pension, broke. Illinois is broke. Kentucky is broke. 401ks are toast. These hedge funds are toast. So the question I say to people, you can be positive thinking all you want, but what's going to happen when they make the money toxic, which it already is? It doesn't buy anything anymore. That's what happened in Egypt with Arab Spring. Was inflation went through the roof on them, and that's when they started to riot. They couldn't eat. You look at the homelessness all across America. That's what happens. So the future is actually more of those homeless people I see all over Hawaii and California and Seattle and all this. And so without money, if it's not in your brain, you don't know how to create it. And that's all I'm saying to people. The Fed controls the money as well as the U.S. Treasury. And at this moment, as we speak, they're going to print 10 trillion more, 10 trillion more. And we don't know anything about money. So you can be like my poor dad, great guy, positive thinker, PhD, but when they took his pension away, he turned into a pile of jelly. And that's what's going to happen. The next crisis is not Corona crisis. The next crisis is pensions. You mark my words on that. That's why the 401k was created in 1974. That's what Who's Told My Pension is about. So when I talk to all these positive thinking sons of a bitches, they're the ones who are going to turn on you when they don't have any money. That's all I.
You've probably heard that selling on Amazon is a great way to start a business this day and age, but that means that there's a lot of people trying to teach.
I'm saying, that's all I'm saying. So, oh, you worry too much, you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, well, what's going to happen when you get ill? Because, illness, most of the Corona guys are old guys who didn't take care of their health. That's the fact, Jack. I'm old, but I take care of my health. I have the money to have concierge health care. I I afford the best. So I should be target market for coronavirus. Kim had it, she shook it. That was a test she took, she's fine. I had it too, shook it. But once a person takes their money away, like they did my poor dad, that's what I wrote about, and who stole my pension. Without money, Patrick, people can't function, and then they turn into primates, animals, desperate. They'll take government MMT, I call it Marxist monetary theory. UBI, Kang was going to give everybody $1,000 because we have no financial education in our schools. So we can be positive and all that, but I tell you what, right now I have brothers and sisters in their 70s. I know who is going to be their pension. It's me. So I was a dumb shit surfer. It comes in waves of threes. It happened in 2020, the peak, with 3 waves down already. It's never fallen so fast. They're printing money to stop the Hindenburg from going into the ground. They're bailing out the rich, but now they have to come up with MMT to keep the poor and the middle class from rioting and killing each other. This is not an accident, is what I'm saying. The coronavirus was just the black swan that Nazim Taleb talks about. And what is revealing is exactly as Buffett said, who's swimming naked? You and I know those hedge funds are broke. Right now, my best friend just sold his business for $1.8 billion to a hedge fund. He says, I f***ed them all because they don't know anything about real estate. They're hedge fund guys. So now their properties are crashing. Commercial real estate is crashing. Debt is going to pile to the ceiling. That's the shadow banking system. And when I talk to even my highly educated friends, they don't know what the repo market is. They don't know what commercial paper is. They don't know that Ford went from triple B to junk. They don't know. They say, oh, what's the stock market doing today? They don't know. So that's why I created the cash flow board game. I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all this. So people have got to start teaching people. Positive thinking is stupidity. If you're broke, you've got to have something between this ear and that ear. You got to know assets from liabilities. You can see the balance sheets. That's all I'm saying. I've been saying it for 20-something years now.
Do you know what this is? Because believe it or not, this weird little blue tool actually sells thousands of units right here on Amazon.
Look at the millennials. They're the biggest in-debt generation in history. Look at what we've done to our kids. How much financial education do our schools put out? 0. Is that an accident? That's all I'm asking people to think. But all these guys who are positive, oh, I don't have to worry. You know, my personal trainer, they're unemployed. He says, yeah, but we're very successful people. I said, but you know nothing about money. So some people will get educated, 96% won't. That's the odds. There's a difference between money and long-term wealth. Look, I don't know if you know this, but I don't have a financial planner. I have a private office. I have a team of advisors, of accountants, attorneys, bookkeepers, and all this. I run as a business. This Corona crisis, whatever it is making me a very rich man. I have millions of dollars of gold and silver. I'm completely out of the stock market. I don't need a pension. That was by plan. It wasn't a mistake. Lesson number 1 in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the rich don't work for money. And the average person says, yeah, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I got a lot out of it. I said, you get lesson 1. And the reason lesson 1 is important is because 1971, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard and it became fake. And so people are so desperate today. Cash, you know, money, whatever they call it today, is like intravenous. It's a drug. Money is a drug. They just stick it in my veins, baby. Stick it in my veins so I can feel good for today. Let me pay my bills. Let me pay my mortgage. That's what they are today. You know that? I know that. You take that money away, what has happened all over the world, like in Argentina, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, they're going to riot. I love Australia. The Aussie dollar dropped from 80 to 55 cents. I say that the average person, where's Australia? That's how stupid Americans are. That's how stupid they are. Highly educated, stupid people like my poor dad. So that's why I do what I do. And millions right now, you know it and I knew it, are being wiped out as we speak. As Buffett said, people are swimming naked. They're going to turn in the keys to their Lexus, their condos, their second house. My friends who are in commercial real estate, they're hurting, man. They were rich, but their tenants are moving out. retail, restaurants. And I don't think that was a mistake. I think the coronavirus is a cover-up for the September 2019 crash of the repo market. And it's in Who Stole My Pension? And the average person I'm talking to right now, they don't know what the repo market is. They don't know the shadow banking system. They don't know commercial paper. They don't know any of that. That's the problem. You can see me on CNN. In January 2008, I'm telling Wolf Blitzer, Lehman is going down. And he got upset because it got out. It's not supposed to get out. Just like the coronavirus out of Wuhan was not supposed to get out, supposedly. But once it got out, they never invited me back. So go to richdad.com and look up CNN, Wolf Blitzer. I'm calling it 6, 7, 8 months early. If people had got out, they wouldn't have lost everything. I got out way back here in Vietnam. I saw the light in Vietnam. I said, why am I killing people here? Why am I killing them? What did they ever do to me? You know, a drone pilot just sits back in Langley, Virginia, and fires a rocket or drops whatever they do today. And they kill people with no risk to themselves. When I was killing people, I had to kill them up front. They could kill me too. I had to go onto the ground and pick up my guys who were wounded. But now America just kills them from the air indiscriminately. That's why I do and I say what I do. I have all of these artifacts. Hi, Robert Kiyosaki, founder with my wife Kim of the Rich Dad Company. And I'd like to introduce artifacts. This is an artifact. It's in 50 languages. They take me out, it's still out there. My board game, it's an artifact. They can take me out, it's still out there. That's what I learned from Buckminster Fuller. I don't have financial planners because they work for Wall Street. Nothing wrong with them, but I don't need them. I don't need Wall Street to make money. I have millions in gold and silver stored outside the country. You know why? Because if I have to run, I'm running. I'll leave it all behind. I went to Vietnam twice. If I was scared, I wouldn't have gone like these pussies who stayed behind and spit on me when I came back, who became school teachers, professors, lawyers. You know, I went to court in New York and the judge said, I don't like you and I don't like Donald Trump. Those are the people that are afraid. I lost the case because she didn't like Donald Trump and she didn't like me. She ruled against me just on that principle. That's the left, as you know. And I don't take sides, right or left, I stand aside. But let me tell you something. If you've ever surfed, the biggest wave I ever surfed was 16 feet. The reason I surfed the 16-footer, because that was it. There was one coming behind of it. I still remember that day. I cut school, a high school student. I went out and I was going, holy mackerel. So I'm trying for the smaller waves. And I go out and I go, and somebody yells outside. Outside means there's this wave coming. So I decided to take the smaller one at 16 feet. I never went out again. You know why? Because fear taught me something important. You're not good enough yet. You haven't practiced enough yet. My best friend, not my best friend, but one of my closest friends, Carl Roner, he died next year at Sunset Beach. Big wave surfing is not for pussies. We manifest our fear and we focus it in different ways. The real cowards are ones that walk around me on the street and look at me like I don't have a mask on. That's the coward. It's the coward that's going to say, well, where's my check from the government? Well, where's my retirement? That's the coward. Fear is false evidence. We all have it. It's what do you do with it?
All right, so let me stop sharing that real fast, right? So in that, he was talking about the repo market that crashed in 2019. Now, a lot of people are unaware of the crashing of the repo market in 2019. And this is what I wanted to actually go into and show y'all this crash. I want y'all to see it, man, and understand what is going on and how they manipulating us right now. So this is another article. This came out January the 6th, 2020. And they talk about why the US repo market blew up, and it's trying to say how to fix it. But I don't think it's no fixing to the repo market right now. So I'm going to read a little bit of this, and this is to get you so you can research this yourself and look into it, and just get educated on it yourself and see what's up, right? So I'm gonna go straight down to what happened. It says the repo market is where high quality securities are swapped daily for trillions of dollars of cash, making a wide range of transitions easier. Repo is short for repurchase agreements, which amount to collateralized short-term loans. It jolted Wall Street in mid-September 2019 when the amount of cash available dropped just as the demand to borrow it jumped, driving interest rates sharply higher. Now, this is the what happened. Again, you can read this, you can pull this article up and read it yourself. But basically what happened was the amount of cash available dropped when the demand to borrow jumped up. So they didn't have enough cash to supply the demand of the cash that they needed. And what it did was it drove the interest rates sharply higher. Now, so now we're gonna deal with why did that matter? It says, for one thing, it brought back bad memories of the grim days of 2008 when the repo market froze up amid fears of cascading bankruptcy. So in 2008, the repo market froze up. We don't know this. We don't know that in the crash of 2008 that the repo market actually froze up. We didn't know that. I didn't know that, until I started looking into the repo market, because I didn't know. I'm just keeping a buck, right? But it says that, so we're not in the midst of a credit crisis today. This situation is more about a scarcity of available cash as the market adjusts to the post-crisis world. So we can understand now why the federal government is printing so much cash right now. They're printing trillions of dollars as we speak right now. The reason why they're printing all this cash is to help with what happened, right? So volatility in short-term lending rates. Hold on. Let me get back. We're not in the midst of a credit crisis today. This situation is more about a scarcity of available cash as the market adjusts to the post-crisis world. But the implications of a dysfunctional repo market are big. Volatility in short-term lending rates can derail the Fed's effort to keep interest rates low and raise questions about its ability to steer the economy. Sustained turmoil can push up the US government borrowing costs, which can in turn lift rates throughout the economy and around the world. So we understand why a lot of money is being printed right now, because the United States government is printing a lot of money. It goes into why did it happen? Some believe severe catalysts happen to land at the same time and push it in direction. A big swath of new treasury debt settled into the marketplace, landing on dealers' balance sheets just as cash was being sucked out by quarterly tax payments companies needed to send to the government. However, the strain persisted even as the Fed injected liquidity, leading many to suspect a broader issue was at work. Cash has gotten too scarce in the financial system. The Fed has since worked to replenish reserves by purchasing treasury bills. Also, the Fed is now purchasing school debt, on student loans. But some observers have also pointed out that big banks didn't step in to ease the problem. So I'm not trying to go all. Let me see what else. Let me see. All right, I'm not gonna read the rest of it, but I want y'all to look this stuff up yourself and read this stuff. But what we need to be worried about is inflation, family. And this is what I want to talk about. What should we expect? We should expect, and you know, in 2018, our tax laws were changed. And a lot of people really, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the tax laws, but our taxes went up. So we're paying more taxes as we speak. And right now, we see that the price of goods and food and services are rising. So we are paying more taxes. Our pay rate is not increasing, but you can see in stores that the price of eggs is higher, right? When you buy tissue, the price of tissue is higher. So we're already in the middle of this. Not only are we having a pandemic with the coronavirus, we're already in the middle of a financial crisis that's happening right before our eyes. And the coronavirus is being used as a mask to cover up what really happened with the repo market and the dark banking system. You know, you have to look into this stuff, family. So what I want to tell you is to get prepared. Get prepared. Because just like you were talking about the Arab Spring, when you can't feed your family, things will get hectic. So we need to start preparing right now. As African Americans, it is our job and our duty to prepare and be prepared for when something like this happens. There's different ways that you can get prepared. You can start growing your own food. If you want to, get you a garden in your backyard. Let's go back to the old timey days where we grew our own food. Get you some cabbage, some collards, put you some tomatoes out there, put you some snaps, some green beans, you know, get you some onions, plant you some onions, plant you some green peppers, you know, plant your apple tree. Like we need to start back preparing so we're not so dependent on shopping for everything that we need when it comes to food. Also, as far as the money is concerned, we better start looking to precious metals. Now, we have to start looking at gold and silver, digital currency, purchasing land, you know, purchasing buildings. You know, if you're going to get in the stock market, play the stock market, but be smart about it. But we have to start making these decisions and these moves right now. And on a later date, I'm gonna do a presentation where I'm gonna compare gold to Bitcoin and silver to Litecoin. Because right now, silver is severely undervalued. Just like if you know anything about Bitcoin and Litecoin, Litecoin was severely undervalued for a long time. And all of a sudden, Litecoin had its moment where it caught up to where it should have been with Bitcoin. And right now, silver is severely undervalued, family. So right now is the best time to look into silver because it's really undervalued. And the highest it's ever been is $50. I think the highest gold ever been maybe been like 1,800, but silver could easily go up to $100. It can easily happen, especially once the world and the currencies reset and we go back to the original currency, which it was. So with that, I just want to say peace, family. Look at this video, rewind it, you know, give me a thumb up, you know, let me know what you think, share it to your family. Remember, research the repo market. Let's get educated on things when it comes to finances. Now, Remember, like I always say, don't work for money. Let your money work for you. And the best investment that you can ever make is investing in yourself. Peace, Black Power.